Good morning, students. This is chapter 4, Market as a Social Institution. We are now learning the continuation of weekly markets. In the last class, we discussed the tribal market, and that tribal market was situated in Dorai village, where we learned about the markets that are opening during weekly markets. Okay, now caste based markets and trading networks in pre-colonial and colonial India. So the markets in pre-colonial means just before the colonial period, pre-colonial, before the colonial period. Pre-degree means before the course that you are attending before you go for degree, that is pre-degree. So just like that, pre-colonial and colonial India. So the markets of that period was mainly caste based, and hence we call it as caste based markets, and we are learning about their trading networks. Okay, so first sentence is about the pre-colonial period and late pre-colonial period. So we are now looking into the type of market during pre-colonial India. During pre-colonial India, the Indian markets had non-market exchange. Non-market exchange means for exchanging things, they usually exchange things only, products only, or goods only. Okay. Or if I am selling some product, then I will get in return for that a service also. So that is non-market exchange. There was no money, there was no exchange of money, that is non-market exchange. And as all of you know, the pre-colonial Indian society was you can see many villages in the pre-colonial Indian society, and those villages were self-sufficient. Whatever they want, they produce. So hence we can call it as self-sufficient villages. Okay, so pre-colonial Indian markets had non-market exchange, and in late pre-colonial period, end of the pre-colonial period, economy was extensively monetized. So this is an important point. During pre-colonial period, markets had non-market exchange. There was no money to exchange. Goods are exchanged for goods. In late pre-colonial period, economy was extensively monetized. Then at the same time, non-market exchanges like judge money system existed there. So judge money system is a system just like caste system, and that system you can call as an economic system found in the villages of India, where lower caste performed various functions for the upper caste, just like our caste system. Okay, judge money system in detail we will study in the coming slides. Okay, so at the second point is, at the same time, non-market exchanges like judge money system existed there during pre-colonial and colonial India. Then India had banking systems, trading networks, manufacturing and exporting of handloom clothes, spices, etc. So India already had banking systems, well established banking systems, trading networks, manufacturing units, exporting of handloom clothes, and even spices. We have pepper, we have cardamom, etc. So we sell those things, we export those things, we manufacture clothes, etc. Then the instrument of exchange of market during late pre-colonial period was hundi or bill of exchange. This part is very important. So we are saying India had banking systems, India had trading networks, manufacturing and exporting handloom clothes and spices. Exporting means we are sending our clothes and spices to some other places. Okay, that is exporting. So naturally, if the system was non-market exchange type of economy, then how will you transfer? If I am giving some handloom clothes to some other place, then how can I take the profit or whatever it is from the other person? So for that there was an instrument of exchange, okay, of market during late pre-colonial period, and that was known as hundi or bill of exchange. This bill of exchange is just like the receipt of the modern times. Whenever you are going to purchase things in a supermarket, you are getting a bill from the market, okay, just like that this is a bill, and in that bill it is written like so and so person is purchased so and so things, and then you are supposed to give 100 rupees or 100 rupees to this person, like that it is written over there in that paper. It is a piece of paper, okay. So that piece of paper is known as bill of exchange or hundi. There was no money, and hence they made this type of system to market their products to distant places. Understood? The instrument of exchange of market during late pre-colonial period was known as hundi or bill of exchange. And after I put this video in your class group, I will show the pictures of bill of exchange below that, okay. Then a merchant in what I am now explaining what is this hundi. A merchant in one part of the country can issue hundi that was accepted by another merchant in faraway places. So with the help of this hundi, people are exchanging, people are marketing things from one place to another, okay. So now it is clear, the system was non-market exchange system, but still they sent things, they exported things, they manufactured goods, and they exported those goods to other places, and for those exporting and for those market they use hundi or bill of exchange. And what is hundi? A merchant in one part of the country can issue hundi that was accepted by another merchant in faraway place. Hundi is bill of exchange. It is an instrument of exchange of market during late pre-colonial period. Now we are discussing about an example of caste-based trading community. An example for caste-based trading community, that is Nattukottai Chettiars. This I have given a bold letter because sometimes the same example can be asked even for 4 or 6 marks, okay. Write a short note on Nattukottai Chettiars who are caste-based trading communities. Allengil write an example for caste-based trading community in detail. So this part can be asked for a 4 or 6 mark question. That is why I had given this letter as bold. So caste-based trading community, an example is Nattukottai Chettiars. Nattukottai Chettiars were the trading communities of Tamil Nadu, and they are otherwise known as Nakarathars. They are otherwise known as Nakarathars, and they are indigenous, they are traditional traders. Their occupation is trading, okay. They are indigenous traders. They had banking and trading activities with strong relations in society. They had strong interpersonal relationship. Their main trade was the main marketing system was developed in the field of banking as well as trading activities, okay. And caste, kinship and family completely aimed towards business. This Nakarathars, full family, full relatives completely indulge in business. Their banks were famously known as Nagarattar banks, and these Nagarattar banks were joint family firms. As all of you know, this traditional society where joint family system was prominent, the number of family members may exceed 100 or above. So these banks of Nagaratars were known as Nagarattar banks, and these banks were joint family firms. These banks were looked after by the very big joint family. Caste and kinship relations controlled trade and banking activities. So whatever activities are there in the banking system as well as the trade, and these things were looked after or controlled by the caste itself and the close relations. And they had even networks in Southeast Asia and Ceylon, in different parts of India as well as Southeast Asia, and even in Ceylon they have connections. Ceylon was the name of Sri Lanka. Okay, so they had connections in Southeast Asia and even in Ceylon. So that is about Nagaratars. So what are the points you are writing? Nagaratars are caste based trading communities known as Natukottai Chettiyars. Even now you can see Chettiyars in different parts of the border side of Kerala. For example, in Trivandrum you can see these Chettiyars. Okay, so their name is Nagaratars, and they are indigenous traders. They had banking and trading systems. They had strong relations in the society. The whole family is working for the business. Their banks are Nagarattar banks, and these banks were managed by the joint family. And caste and kinship relations controlled the trade and banking activities, and they had networks in Southeast Asia and Ceylon. Now, what is judge money system? We already mentioned about judge money system. Okay, judge money system, as I have already told you, is a non-market. It is judge money system was an economic system found in Indian villages where the lower caste performed various functions for the upper caste, and for the work or for the occupation they received grains or other goods in return. There was no money during that time. So judge money system, non-market exchange of producers, goods and services within the Indian village without the use of money, based on caste and customary practices. It was just like this caste system. Okay, in this system there is an Yajman. Yajman means the main person is Jajman, and this Jajman is the patron, and a Kamin is also there. Kamin is the person who is doing the work. Okay, so Kamins are carpenters, then they are washerman, then they are goldsmith, etc. So there is a Yajman and a Kamin. Kamin is the one who is doing the work. So this judge money system was the backbone of rural economy and was the backbone of social order also. There was rules and regulations in this, just like the caste system, and hence it maintained the social order of the society. So some say their economic activities are indigenous capitalism. We can call it as, some of the sociologists call this judge money system as a system of indigenous capitalism. Indigenous means traditional capitalism. Okay, so this part is very important, can be asked for 3 marks. So that judge money system was the part of caste based markets and trading networks in pre-colonial and colonial India. That can be asked for 4 or 6 marks, and separate that example of Natukottai Chettiyars can be asked for 4 marks, and even the judge money system can be asked for 2 or 3 marks. Okay, now comes the social organization of markets. Now let us analyze the structure, the social organization of markets. These Natukottai Chettiars were Vaishyas, okay, and as all of you know, in the caste system, Brahmanas are doing the sacred duties, and Kshatriyas are going for wars. Then Vaishyas are doing trade activities. Okay, so now we are analyzing the social organization of markets. This also can be asked for 4 or 6 marks. Okay, and there we are dealing with traditional business communities in our society. There were so many business communities, traditional business communities were there. We are analyzing, we are looking through the work and activities of these traditional business communities. In traditional Indian society, caste system had a connection with the economic activities. There was a connection between caste system and economic activity. And best example for this is Nagaratars. Okay, so because Nagaratars, Chettiars were a Vaishya community, and their main occupation was trade. And among caste hierarchy, Vaishyas were the ones who trade and market for the people, and hence these Nagaratars were the people who go for trade. And that doesn't mean that only Vaishyas were the traders. Besides them, some other caste groups also indulged in trade and claimed to have Vaishya status. They wanted to get a Vaishya status. The lower caste people tried to indulge in trade. They indulged in trade and they wanted to claim the Vaishya status. Now let us go through few lower caste people who indulged in trade in India. Baniyas of North India are doing traditional business for long time. Then Parsis, a religion. Sindhis, Boharas, Jains, again religion, were traditional business communities. Then Banjaras, a tribal group with low status, indulged in salt trade during colonial rule. This part is very important, usually asked for 1 mark. Banjaras were the tribals who involved or indulged in salt trade during colonial period. So besides the Vaishyas, the Vaishya group which are involved in trade are Nagaratars, and besides these Nagaratars, lower caste people also indulged in trade, and they are Baniyas, Parsis, Sindhis, Boharas, Jains. And Bajras, a tribal group with low status, also indulged in salt trade during colonial period. And even in these markets, whether it is the market of Banjaras or whether it is the market of Nagaratars, Parsis, Sindhis or Jains, you can see caste monopoly. Okay, if a particular person is established in trade and he usually brings his own people, his own caste people into that trade, and the reason for that is most of the traditional business communities trusted their relatives only and were not ready to trade with outsiders. So if a Jain is establishing a banking system or a trading activity, he usually appoints his own people, his own caste people or his own family members, because these traditional business communities never trusted others. They trusted their relatives and were ready to trade with their relatives only and not with outsiders. Then, so that is about the social organization of markets. Now, colonialism and emergence of new markets. So pre-colonial period and colonial period was the heading given. So we are discussing the caste-based markets and trading networks in colonial as well as the pre-colonial period. So now colonialism and the emergence of new markets is the next part. Colonialism affected India's production, trade and agriculture. An example for that is the demise of the handloom industries due to the flooding of British goods. Britishers brought their products here and they took away our materials to their place, and they manufactured things, and then they started to sell those things in different places. So colonialism affected India's production, trade and agriculture. Before colonialism itself, we had trading networks. We usually exchange things with the help of the bill of exchange. But when these colonial people entered here, our handloom industry became handloom industry was disorganized because Britishers brought their own things to our place, and colonial period helped India to link with the world market. So during colonial period, what happened is Britishers took our products and then they brought their things here. So naturally our things had a more connection with the world market than the previous time. Okay, because Britishers are taking our thing and they are selling those things in other markets. So before being colonized, India supplied manufactured goods to the world. India supplied as well as manufactured goods to the world. But after colonization, India became a source of raw materials and consumer of other products. So our raw materials were taken away from from India, and we became the consumer of other products which we didn't have, like slippers, like jeans, and like that. So many products are there. Then during this period, new groups entered trade, joined hands with these traditional business communities. So there was a rule that only these traditional business people, usually it was not written anywhere, but usually traditional business people are practicing trade as their occupation. But during colonial period, new groups also entered. They joined hands with TBCs or sometimes throwing them out, and they entered into the field. Then market expansion gave opportunities to merchant communities, and they continued to hold economic power even after the independence. So this time during the colonial period, besides this traditional business communities, other merchant communities also developed here, and they became economic power, and they survived here even after the independence. And now we have an example for a merchant community which emerged in India during colonial rule, and that is Marwaris. Okay, Marwaris were the leading business communities emerged during the colonial rule, and an example for that is, you must have heard about the Birlas. Birlas have many industries throughout India, and they are industrial family just like Tata. Okay. So Birla belongs to Marwari community. Marwaris are a business community, merchant community from Rajasthan, and these Marwaris became industrial people, then became shopkeepers as well as traders. They made money out of this business and they became very rich. Marwaris took advantage of new opportunities given by the colonial people and became successful during the colonial period. And this success was due to their extensive social networks. They have extensive social networks, and usually just like the traditional business communities, these people also appointed their own people in the trading networks, and hence they have extensive social networks, and they developed many business organizations throughout India. Example for this type of merchant community emerged during colonial rule is Marwari, and among the Marwaris we have Birlas. Then Marwaris even started banking systems. They started their own banks and became very rich by expanding the business. So along with this trade, along with the industrial marketing and all, they started banking system too, and then they became rich. After freedom, some Marwaris became industrialists, and even now they control more of India's industries than any other community. Even now in India, these Birlas, these Marwaris who came from Rajasthan, who are the merchant communities of Rajasthan, are controlling even most of the industries in India even after independence. Thank you.